Men are calling out the delusional sisterhood.
This gender war between the black man and the black woman has been going on for a long time, for decades. You had the black women bashing black men.
Men are calling out the delusional sisterhood. Yeah, I mean, it was only a matter of time until men started to speak up and express what's happening. Today's video comes from Ed's Reactions and Reviews. His channel will be linked in the description so that you can go and check him out and support his content. So the sisterhood is now under fire from men in Western society. Men who have been married, men who are in committed relationships are beginning to stand up and say that, you know what? This is disgusting. This behavior is ridiculous. They're calling out delusional behavior by women in Western society. And it is refreshing to finally see this happening. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand what the implications of this is and how this is going to affect women going well into the future. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Then you had a black man bashing black women. It's been going on for decades. And it's always refreshing to hear a married couple, a black couple, give their thoughts, give their opinion. I always like that because I'm not married. And a lot of times, everybody that's on this subject are single people. So it's refreshing when a couple that's been married for a while, when they come out and speak up on this subject. And that's what we have today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure a lot of you guys know our brother Michael J. White. He's an actor. He played in a lot of movies, you know, from Spawn to playing Mike Tyson to a lot of his action movies. He's a martial artist, okay? Him and his wife did a podcast touching up on this subject. And I saw it. After I watched it, I was like, yo, man, I got to share this with my people. I got to share this with you guys. And like I said, nothing like a couple that's actually married giving you that perspective. Let's get to it. Hello, welcome to Reactions and Reviews. I'm your humble host, Eze. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the show.
So many people know me has heard this story. It's a long time ago when I first came to LA and I was, hanging out with a buddy, took me to this house party. And we got to this house party and there was an argument that was already in swing, in full swing, and it was a women versus men argument. Now, the men were getting trounced by the time I got there, and these women just kept listing all the stuff that they want in a man or what they deserve. And nobody knew me from Jack, but I'm just listening, and I dared chime in. But these women were like, I want somebody who's got this, makes this much money. And, by the way, it's kind of weird because you hear it nowadays and it was just trending. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. But they said, I want a man that's got this, he's got some humor, family value, all this stuff. And so I dared chime in because I just got wrapped up in it. And I said, excuse me. And I said, okay, say you got the guy that's got this kind of, paycheck, and he's this, and he's got these values, and he treats you nice and all that type of stuff, educated and everything. And I said, so you got that guy. Why would he want you? And everybody was like, oh, and I'm like, no, I'm not trying to diss. But the women act like I was really trying to be disrespectful. Yeah. But I said, no. I really want to know, what do you bring to the table? Why would that man want you?
And it's because they believe that they are the table. They believe that they were put on earth to be worshipped by man. They believe that they are up here and men are down here. When I watch some videos sometimes, they infuriate me. There was a video that I watched, and it's something that bothers me a lot. There are a lot of white guys who simp for black women, but there are a lot of black women who they will never date a white guy because they feel like he's too vanilla for them. Unless he's like a bad boy, unless he's like some like thug dude that grew up in the hood or is a criminal, then that's different. Like some guy out of Sons of Anarchy. But for the typical white guy, if they want to date a black woman, they don't want him. Black women out of all other groups of women are the least likely to marry outside of their ethnicity. And some people will say, oh, that's because they're loyal to they're loyal to their men, they're loyal to their race. That's not it. They don't want Michael. They don't want Michael, who's also African American and works in IT. They don't want that dude. All right. They want Jamal, that is a gangster that has been in and out of prison his entire life on drug and weapon charges. That's the dude that they like. That's the dude that they desire. All right. Or Enrique, who's been in and out of jail and the country at that. All right. They deported him a number of times, but it hasn't stuck yet. All right. They've put him out, and he just comes right back in. And he's been in and out of his life on robbery and disorderly conduct, and illegal entry. Over the course of his entire life. That's the guy that they love. Or little Pancho, that barely speaks a word of English, but they love this guy, and he's has his tequila. He's always walking around in the streets, hiccuping. He comes home to your house, lays in your bed while you're at work, and he's with your girl, and she's making him food, and she's rubbing his belly and kissing his little feet, and as he's laughing and farting. I mean, those are the guys that she loves. These women, they never love you. They don't love you. They only love what you can do for them. And a lot of men don't realize it. And women, they believe that they are put here to be worshipped. So this is why they now openly say, if a man asks, what do I bring to the table, then he's not very smart, because they are the table, or he needs to figure it out for them himself, or all of this total BS. The truth is, they have nothing to offer. They have nothing to offer. And any man and any man that is lowering himself down to a standard where she has nothing to offer. She has 3 kids. All right. She's in her 30s. She's pushing 40. She has tens of thousands of dollars in debt, or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Okay. She's struggling with her health a bit. She's struggling with her health. She's pre-diabetic, all of these different things. And she can put on some makeup, some high heels, and and a low-cut dress, and now you're supposed to worship her. And it's like, what? While you have to go to the gym, work out, get in shape, take care of yourself, get an education. After getting an education, make over $100,000 a year, be 6 feet tall, have all of these different things just to date her. And don't expect physical intimacy or any of these things right away. She can like the way that you look. She can like things that you can do for her, but she does not actually like you. And she will expect the world from you. And if you ever turn around and say, you know what? How about you give me the things that you're asking for, that you're demanding? She'll go, excuse me, you're a man, all right? You're a man, okay? When you ask for these things, it makes you pathetic, it makes you small. It's a disgrace. You're not a real man. You're not even a man. She starts tearing you down because you're not living up to her standards and her demands. That's the reason why so many dudes are going MGTOW and walking away. All right. And going back to what I was saying earlier about a lot of black women, they will say some nasty things about white guys, that they don't want to date them. And the reason why is because they don't like to date decent men. A lot of black women, they don't want decent men. When they say white guys, what they are doing is they're really slamming the door closed on any man who is a decent man. If you are not a thug, if you don't meet a certain standard, like a certain character, you're not a gangster, they don't want you. They are looking for the thug effect. All right? Those are the kinds of dudes that they love. Those are the kinds of dudes that they are attracted to. They want men who are dangerous. Okay? And they will insult men who are not. I saw a video, it was on the Desirable Truth, and I think it was Desirable Truth, and they were interviewing this black girl, and she was with her white friend, and she was like, oh, I used to date a white guy named Woody, and after dating him, I realized that I will only date black men who are tall, dark, thick, all this other crap. And basically what she was saying is she wants gangsters. She wants a gangster. And then you can see Simps in the comments like, oh no, she just has preferences. No, bro. She wants a thug. She doesn't want Michael from IT. She wants Jamal from the state penitentiary. I'm sick of this crap. I am so sick of this crap. And then women are like, where have all the men gone? Where have all the good guys gone? In other words, where have all the beta males gone that they can take advantage of?
Said when he first got to LA. So this had to be like in the late 80s, early 90s. Because Michael Jai White been out for a long time. And this conversation was going on. And remember, guys, one of my older videos came from the 70s, where this conversation was going on from the 70s. So it's nothing new. Social media just magnified it to where people think it's something new. It's a new subject. No, it's not. It's been going on since the late 60s, early 70s. And I said that to say, where did they lie? Where did they lie? A lot of sisters has been living in this delusion for a very long time. For at least 4 or 5 decades. And it doesn't seem like they want to wake up. As a matter of fact, it's getting worse. It's getting worse now because this generation, all they see is money. That is it. Money. If it's not money, if it's not the bag, they're not interested.
I completely agree with EZ. All right. I completely agree with him. All right. All they want is their bag. They don't care about anything else. And where things going to lead for women? Men walking away, men avoiding relationships entirely, men saying that we're just going to separate ourselves from relationships and dating, focus on ourselves, and live happy lives. And don't forget that, simplicity is luxury for a man. So men will make just enough to survive and thrive and no more. And if the government thinks that it's going to come after men, for men who are not working, it won't work. Men will just basically walk away and they will live on less. All right. And the more they come after men, the more men will move away. The more men will move out of cities. Men will move into the woods. Men will move on to a piece of land. Men will move into towns of just men. Men will live in the wilderness. Okay. Men will live underground. They are just pushing men further and further away from society. That's what happened with the Roman Empire, where they instituted no-fault divorces within 100 years. There was, the empire was just subsidizing women because, men had walked away. Men had given up on society. Men had stopped protecting society. They were relying entirely on slave labor, and they could no longer protect themselves. And eventually the barbarians came in. They pillaged the empire when they realized the empire couldn't protect itself, let alone feed itself or provide for itself, because it was too busy trying to provide for the women in its empire. And men allowed the empire to collapse. You have to understand how much the men in the Roman Empire came to hate the Roman Empire. All right? Absolutely hate the Roman Empire and feel that the empire itself was their enemy. And they allowed, the empire called single men worse than all the criminals in all of the Roman Empire. And it didn't matter. They punished them and had them running in the streets as like chain gang style during the winter time. So they would freeze. They still wouldn't marry. They were barred from any public events. No going to the Coliseum or the theater. No shows. So no wrestling, no video games, none of that. They still wouldn't get married because they knew that it was a consequence. They eventually banned no-fault divorce, but it was too late by then. It wouldn't stop anything. Men still wouldn't get married. It was just straight up mouse utopia. And we fell into 1,000 years of darkness, living in caves and eating squirrel meat, bubonic plague, all of this stuff. The only ones who still had technology was the Catholic Church. They still had math and science and math science, because obviously they had their sculptors. They were the only ones that could read. They were the only ones that could read. They were the only ones with text. So they basically trained their own people, and then they ruled over humanity for 1,000 years using fear of hell and demons and witchcraft to control people. And it was a horrible time. It was a horrible time. And then math and science was brought back into the public from it was brought back by men work in a monastery or some crap like that. You can't really believe these things, but eventually people found their way back to math and science, and it became public again. You were allowed to read again, and that's when we re-entered into what would become the modern day era. This is insane stuff, y'all. This is absolutely ridiculous stuff. It's painful to hear it, but that's just the reality that we've lived through. And how did this happen? Because of decisions that have been made. You give them all of this power and freedom, and it will basically say that they are victims, pillage the empire, and then men walk away, And keep in mind, men are the ones who produce. Even in modern day society, men pay 80% of all taxes. Women make 80% of all consumer purchases. So women are buying everything. Men are paying for everything. All of their men are the ones subsidizing the state, subsidizing women. When men give up and say, okay, we're done, we're not going to fight to protect and subsidize something that hates us, okay, you have nothing left. There's going to be a lot of destitution. There's going to be a lot of poverty. There's going to be a lot of homelessness, and men are not going to care. And the world is going to look towards Western society, countries like the United States, just years from now, and they're going to begin to say, how did women, within 10 years, all right, the world is going to say, how did women end up in this terrible state? Because the immense poverty, and no one cares about men, but the immense poverty that women are going to fall into, because the state is not going to be able to subsidize them, and men are done. There's no more subsidiaries for men. There's no more marriage and dating. None of this. The world is going to say, how did women end up in this condition in a first world country, all right, compared to third world countries? How did this happen? And it won't matter. All right. There's no repairing this. There's no fixing this. This is something that would take hundreds, if not hundreds of years. All right. And it would have to be after all of these generations have passed on, and it would have to, guys. And even then, history would just potentially repeat itself all over again. And women would just try to bury, give them enough chance, they would always come back to women's empowerment. And then they would try to bury the internet and bury all data and historical records of what had happened. The Ministry of Truth style. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Men are calling out the delusional sisterhood. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away and share.